Empower People works for disadvantaged women who are victims or potential victims of violence, including domestic violence, honor crimes, killing and trafficking or other type of slavery, and provides them shelter, proper counseling, legal support and other help required. The community work involves creating awareness and conducting livelihood programs.
Hello, we welcome you all to the Empower People series Society today. We have launched this new series to introduce you to and talk about the societies and issues in general. Today I have with me Shivani, and we both are from psychology background. We are all students here, and we basically introduced this session to talk about mental health. And we introduced the session and the myths about mental health because this is something that we come across that people also want to know. This is how we think, and this is how it actually is. So to clear the air and have a better understanding, we have this session, and we have this myth busting session, and we hope that you guys enjoy it and stay tuned with us. I will hand it over to Shivani. Okay.
Thank you, Sumati. Welcome, everybody. So, since we are psychology students, we have such conversations with our friends and other people that we encounter. So, the first myth that we would like to address is that psychologists can read your mind. So, Sumati, would you like to bust this myth?
Yeah, this is something that we have, being from psychology background, gone through a lot of times. But just to make sure and clear the air, psychologists can't read your mind, and the people who claim to do so are not psychologists. Psychologists are not psychic. They are not having this superpower, third eye, that they can read your mind. What a psychologist do is largely based on much as same that the field of science work, and with the exception that it also gives scopes to the subjective individual experiences and the phenomenological world. So basically, the psychology works on much on the research work or the findings that we have previously. And psychologists can't read your mind. This is something that take it as clear as you can. Okay, moving on to the second myth. Can we have the second myth? Yeah. Mental health doesn't make much of the difference. Handing over to Shivani. Can you please bust this myth for us?
Yes. So when we speak of mental health, especially, ever since the situation has changed because of COVID, and also mental health and mental illnesses, especially mental health, actually, this term has been used like a lot. But yet people take it so lightly. I mean, I am originally from an engineering background, and when I decided to pursue psychology, people asked me क्यों करना है तुमको, engineering के बाद psychology कौन करता है, psychology में degree चाहिए क्या, it's human sciences. So it's so it's taken so like, yes, so it's taken very lightly, and it just like your other organs, even your cognitive functioning, your emotional reasoning, your logical reasoning, these things, basically the way your brain functions, it may not function equally efficiently at all points of time. So there might be some impairment, कुछ गलत हो सकता है, कुछ default हो सकता है, कुछ hardwiring में भी कभी-कभी problem हो सकता है. So it's okay, it's an issue, it can be solved, and just like other issues, mental health also needs to be taken seriously, because if you are having some problems and eventually when you don't address them, when you don't take them seriously, तो क्या होता है is that they start hindering you from practicing your daily tasks. तो आपको अपना daily routine करने में भी फिर problems आने लगती है. So this is like, it's like any other pathological disease also. मतलब जितना जल्दी intervene कर सको उतना better है आपके खुद के health के लिए. So it is equally important. After all, it is your brain, your cognitive functioning that enables you to do other activities. तो mental health को इतना lightly बिल्कुल भी नहीं लेना चाहिए. And of course, even psychology as a field, human sciences as a field is equally important because you need somebody to talk to about these issues who can listen to you बिना कुछ judgmental attitude के. So sometimes ऐसा होता है कि आप किसी और के पास जाओगे तो आपको वो judgment का डर रहता है, but psychologists ऐसे नहीं होते हैं. They might have come across many similar cases like yours, so they understand how cognitive functioning works, how all these things work, so they're able to get into the depth of it. So it is equally necessary. So please do not take mental health lightly and do not just use it as any other term just because everybody else does. It has a meaning and it has a significance also. So moving on to the next myth, uh, talking about mental health makes you weak or feminine. So this is also a very common myth. Sumati, handing over to you.
Yeah, especially addressing the guys for here. The term "ladki hai kya" it's so common and it's so real that it actually hurts. Like we have heard this a lot. But it's important to address this here. Like the thing that becomes important here is two things I would like to address. Firstly, the gendered expectation that we impose and the pressure to conform to this traditional idea of masculinity that is also termed as toxic masculinity. But what is this toxic masculinity? It puts this enormous pressure on males to let go every emotional or things that make them human in the first place and be the mud, like this constant pressure to be uh, emotionless or be aggressive or be so strong that you don't have any vulnerability or any weakness. Firstly, the idea that femininity is equivalent to weakness is itself problematic, and this association is problematic. But we will take that up later on. What is important here to address is that this expectation doesn't take away the real consequences. And if we look at the stats and look at the problem in the context of India itself, the suicide rate and the depression rate among the male population of India is itself at an alarming rate. And the problem with here is that this constant pressure to not talk about or not even acknowledge that I have some problem or I'm having struggle or I'm going through this time, and this dismissive attitude like you have to be female to be talk about your feelings or talk about the struggles that you go through, because that makes you weak and that makes you female is in itself problematic. What I insist here is that talk about your minds, talk about what goes on here, talk about among your friends, among your whoever supports you and whoever you find as your safe space or you can confide into. Go ahead and talk and figure this out. It's very, very important. It's very, very crucial that we understand that this unrealistic expectation upon this gender to be absolute stone cold, and which has its repercussion and manifest in the society with larger problems like the violence and this aggressiveness and the toxicity that comes with it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Moving on to the next myth. Can we have the next myth? Yeah. There is something wrong with me if I have a mental health issue or illness.
Yeah, this is also a very common myth. So if someone is going to a therapist or if someone is expressing some issue that they feel they might be facing, so people will be like, अरे तू पागल थोड़ी ना है, ऐसा थोड़ी होता है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है, ये सब तेरे दिमाग के अंदर है, this is just in your head and it will go, it's just a phase, it will pass. So It's nothing like that. And especially if you're facing a mental illness, then it's not that something is wrong with you. There are a lot of factors that contribute to any mental health issue. There are economic factors, there are other sociological factors, there are many other factors. So even when we deal with someone dealing with anything, like even something like anxiety or depression or PTSD, so hamesha you will not be, it's not necessary that you are responsible for the mental issue that you are going through. PTSD जो हम बोलते हैं, post traumatic stress disorder, this may happen due to some very traumatic sudden event that may have happened to you in your life. So you are not in control of everything and you cannot expect that also. So अगर आपको कुछ mental issue हो रहा है, तो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि वो आपकी गलती नहीं है, उसमें बहुत सारे रीजंस होते हैं. एंड इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि हम उन सारे रीजंस को एड्रेस करें, हम डिटेल में जाए कि क्यों हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है, एंड स्टेप बाय स्टेप हम ये सबको सॉल्व करें. सो if you don't have to hesitate to go to a therapist or to even talk to any loved one of yours, anybody that you confide in, that you trust, who you think will understand you. So it is very important to have at least one such person in your life who will not, who you know will not judge you. So you do not have to think कि if I'm feeling stressed or if I'm feeling anxious, तो वो मेरी गलती है, वो मेरे साथ क्यों हो रहा है, वो सबके साथ होता है. We are all equally human and we all have these vulnerabilities and these um, possibilities to get exposed to all these things that may cause any mental issue. So ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है कि if you're going through something then it is just solely your fault. Yeah, so moving on to the next myth. The next myth is about the person who is going through the mental illness is just being lazy and not trying enough to move past it. So, Sumati, would you like to address this myth?
Yeah. Like Shivani also mentioned, and it's important to draw the comparison with, like, if you have an illness in terms of your physical health, does it comes out like, oh, you're not doing enough and that's why you got this fever or you got this typhoid because you didn't try enough or you didn't go out enough. Same is the case with mental health as well. No matter how much you try, or no matter, there is nothing that can guarantee that you will never ever ever have any mental health issue or illness for that matter. We all have experiences that are pretty much dynamic and which shape how we feel from time to time. And it's also something that is very temporal in the sense it changes with time. If I have this state in this period of time, it might not be so in even 15 minutes later. So something that is so dynamic or so change keeps on changing. So what we need to understand here is that telling the people that you're not trying enough, you're lazy for having these issues is not only just absurd, but it's also cruel. Why I'm saying this is because when you're saying this to individual, you're also dismissing them of their issues or of their struggle that they are having, and further invalidating them of their experience that they are having. So comparing them with the people that people have worse than you, and it's important to understand here is that we all are different and there is no competition into say कि मेरा दर्द ज़्यादा है या तुम्हारा दर्द ज़्यादा है. We all have different histories, we all have our experience, our past experiences, we all have different identities associated with us which determine the circumstances that we are in. So it's there is no point in comparing like कि मेरी सिचुएशन इतनी खराब है और इसकी इतनी अच्छी है, या इसकी mental issues and health can doesn't work in that way, and it can happen with pretty much everyone and everyone. There is a point that some things in some circumstances increase your vulnerability or exposes you constantly to certain issues, but there is nothing in this world that can guarantee that you will never ever have any issue in future or in the foresee present. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Moving on to the next myth. Can we have, yeah, be positive, everything will make sense.
Okay, so this sentence is some of the worst things that you can tell someone who is going through any mental health problem. If somebody comes to you and says that, listen, I'm not feeling very good today, I'm feeling depressed, or I'm feeling anxious about something. So you shouldn't tell them that, okay, be positive, everything will, sab acha hi ho jayega. That they're feeling anxious because they don't know. And how do you know कि सब अच्छा ही होएगा, right? So that is one of the worst things that you can tell to someone. And again, we have a lot of these social media cultures that tell us that we have to keep focusing on the positivity and the positive aspects of life, right? So okay, it is very important to appreciate the good things that you have in life, even the small good things that happen to you every day. It's very important to appreciate that. And that itself is one of the steps towards having good mental health. But at the same time, we cannot deny the fact that we are bound to feel comparatively low or comparatively downbeat at some point of time. And usko bhi address karna is equally important because for example, there are a lot of these uh, gurus or a lot of these mentors on social media or practically anywhere you go these days who keep telling you that, you know, you should do all this, you should focus on these things, and this will help you grow in terms of your mental health, in terms of your emotional stability. So yes, these are, yeah, activities, they help you, but at the same time, how will you know that you need to do all these things and you need to improve something about yourself if you do not accept that something is wrong or that something needs to be improved? So these are two sides of the same coin, and both of them are equally important. So unless you recognize and accept कि कुछ तो गलत हो रहा है, how will you correct it, right? So it is important to appreciate the good things, it is important to be positive, but it's like telling someone, if someone is coming to you कि मुझे airplane उड़ाना है, how do I fly it, and you're telling him, अरे don't worry, just fly it, it'll fly. So that is, it doesn't work that way. So you really need to understand that if somebody is coming to you and if they are expressing this to you, then that in itself is a big thing, because ऐसी चीजें generally लोग express नहीं करते हैं for reasons जो हमने अभी अभी just बोली कि लोग जज करते हैं and it is stigmatized, so लोग, they don't express it. So if some loved one of yours is going through something, if you notice, they might not be expressing it, but if you notice that something is going on, you need to talk to them and don't make them feel that you have to be positive, you're just having a wrong attitude towards it. No, you just need to address it as if it is a real problem and it needs to be addressed like any other problem. So try to figure out what's wrong and accept it. Yeah. So moving on to the next myth. थोड़ा एक्सरसाइज कर सब ठीक हो जाएगा.
Pretty much the suggestion that you get from babas and even the family members sometimes also. The thing is that the statement like this hardly helps. Instead, they send a message that the next time you have this problem, don't come to me to talk to me. Because these statements are dismissive and invalidative on their face value, because you're not even willing to listen to what the actual struggles are. As we also talked about in the previous previous questions as well, as to that जो mental health है is as real as physical health, and the things that you feel here can affect your entire physiology. So to say that your mind and body is not different, your mind and body is interrelated. So what you feel have effects on your body as well. So when you're not happy or satisfied or calm, or things that we assign that as being at a state of peace, these things, these statements only invalidate whatever you're feeling. And what I emphasize here is that even if you're not feeling those things that I mentioned, calm, peace, or etc., etc., it's okay not to feel those things every single time and every moment of your life. It's okay. We all are human, and this cycle that we go through, it's pretty much happens with everyone. So, and if it's prolonged and if it's something that is serious, reach out to professionals, reach out to your loved ones, reach out, ask for help, seek help. It's pretty much very, very, very important. Yeah. So, moving on to the next myth. Can we have the next myth? Yeah. Mental health is the individual's problem. It is your fault if you're struggling.
Okay, so one problem with this myth is that it people who believe this, it's please know that empathy is really important, and if someone is struggling with a problem, then you have to empathize with it, and you need to uh, sometimes you don't have to just bombard advices in their face like a wise owl. It's
And
okay
if you
if you
can't
don't have.
even empathize, just listen. That will be pretty
Exactly.
much enough. Just
Yes,
listen.
exactly. Exactly. So you just have to be patient with them and listen to them, because even that makes them feel that okay, mera importance hai, my problem has some importance. It is not nothing. It is not in my head. It is somebody is there who's reciprocating. So just because someone is going through a problem, it does not mean that it is something wrong that they have done because of which they're struggling. Of course, there might be a few practices, a few habits that you might have that may be adding on to your misery. And again, वो सब address हो जाते हैं once you speak to a professional. They help you uh, hook on to some habits that are beneficial for you. But at the same time, you need to understand that, as I previously mentioned, पिछले वाले myth में कि बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स होते हैं. सो अगर आपकी लाइफ में कुछ आपके कंट्रोल के बाहर हो रहा है, सो यू कैन नॉट होल्ड योरसेल्फ रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर इट. एंड वी आर ऑल अ सोसाइटी. हम लोग एक बड़ा कम्युनिटी है. सो इफ somebody else is struggling and if you get to know about it, it is your responsibility to at least be there for them. Okay, you don't have to be there at every step every day, but kabhi kabhi just check in on them कि यार तू ठीक है ना, are you going through anything, let me know. So even such small gestures will make them realize कि okay, there is someone who is there, out there to listen to me at least. So जब people who are struggling with a mental health problem or a mental illness, the main thing is that they feel left out and they feel that they will be misjudged. So it is very important to help them realize that it is actually the opposite and they don't have to worry about anything like that. So please keep that in mind, that if somebody is coming to you and somebody expresses anything of that sort, then please listen. If nothing else, then that is the least that you can do. And even that will do like great benefit to them. So moving on to the next myth. Can we have them? Yeah. Um, Visiting a therapist is a matter of shame.
Yeah. Like to address this, first we need to understand why go to a therapist and what is this exclusivity of therapist that you get, and you won't get this from any other place. I've seen people go for therapy for multiple reasons, and all reasons are valid. And what I believe is that we all deserve therapy, and it should be a basic human right, and we all should have access to therapy from time to time, because because the times we are living in, it's pretty much stressed out and pretty much complicates this issues that and the mental health problems that we are facing. So to address why go to a therapist, I've seen people go to the therapist just to understand themselves better, to navigate their problems, to help them access or untangle the previous traumas or issues that they have previously in life. And people, the general rule that we have is that of when you the resources and the support system that you have becomes very very small as compared to the struggles and the problems that you are facing right now, and it's too much that you can't handle it all. So hence you should seek support, and you should seek therapy or any kind of support that is available to you. So what a therapist do is that we have layers of problem, and we all are complex beings, and we are complex organism. We can't You can't just access or diagnose someone with just on a superficial level or based on one characteristic. So therefore we have professionals who are uh, trained and been practiced into this kind of situation, and who undergo a several form of diagnosis analysis before coming to the conclusion, or before diagnosing or analyzing someone with a disorder or illness. So it's important to reach out to individuals, and even if you can't afford therapy and you can't access therapy, there are helplines and there are portals that help you in some way to access these platforms. It is also possible that even the access to them may not be available to you, but the thing is here is that if you can't have therapy, you must have any support system or anything that you can rely on. Reach out to them and just reach for help before you decide, before you take any step, because we can literally save lives by this therapy and by seeking support. So it's very much important that therapy doesn't make you weak or incompetent or millions of other things. I pretty much believe that we all deserve therapy, and we all should get access to the therapy, because it's something that I believe is basic, and it's pretty much what is dire in these times. And even like uh, even without COVID and lockdown, the
Yeah.
situations that we are living in, it's pretty much complex, and therapy is something that provides you or helps you navigate your own issues with the help of a professional who can help you untangle the issues that you are having, and help you see that these things are layers of the things that I'm having trouble with, and help you uncover it so that you can see and heal from the things that have uh, affected you, or made you so stressed out in your present situation, or the emotional distress you might be facing. So please reach to the therapy. There is no shame in reaching out or asking for help.
Also, I would like to add to this that a lot of a huge aspect of our pop culture, a huge part of our pop culture romanticizes a lot of mental health issues, mental health problems, and mental illnesses. So it is romanticized a lot, and there are people who actually believe that having depression or having anxiety is cool, and they claim कि मुझे भी है depression, मुझे भी है mental health problem. And then there are other people who diagnose themselves for God knows what reason, and they might be feeling I'm not devaluing their problem, but they might be feeling some distress, something that might be stressing them out, and they will diagnose themselves that okay, this syndrome, this something that I might be going through.
I
So
think
don't
the
do that.
importance of mental issues and mental illness. We all have mental issues and we all go through the
Yes,
issues, but these are not mental illness. And
exactly.
unless a professional uh, guides you, please don't self-diagnose. Please don't self-access you, because these are things that a therapist or the psychologists go through years of training and practicing before they come to this conclusion or before they come to this diagnosis of yours. So please don't self-diagnose, and there is also an need to not trivialize these disorders and not to romanticize these disorders, because romanticization doesn't help even the normal folks or even the persons who are suffering from it. Yeah,
Exactly.
so that's pretty much it. Moving on to the next myth that we have. Can we have, yeah, this is really interesting one. Psychologists don't have any mental health issue or illness.
Yeah, right. This is like saying that you're a doctor, you have an MBBS degree. How come you're why? How can you have a cold? How can you have a fever? Right. So this is actually this is not some. It is something really wrong, because even psychologists and psychiatrists, these professionals are as humans as other people, and हम लोग भी vulnerable है, psychologists भी vulnerable है mental illnesses को, mental issues को. In fact, when psychologists undergo training, they are trained the concept of confidentiality. So when you're going to a therapist, when you're going to a professional, uh, you might have spoken to other people about your problem, but when you go to a therapist, it's just between you two. And they take in all of that and they empathize with you and they help you heal. But they really cannot go share that with anybody else. So you can imagine the amount of emotional load that goes on them. So even that is one of the reasons why they are vulnerable to such things. So it's not that if just because somebody knows how human beings tend to think and tend to behave, it doesn't mean कि उनको कुछ problem नहीं होगा. So it's very wrong to say that. It's like saying कि तुम डॉक्टर हो, तुम कैसे बीमार पड़ गए. So we are all equally human, and it's not really the case that psychologists cannot have mental health issues or illnesses. Yeah. So I guess that's it for our busting session for today.
Yeah, that's pretty much covers the myths that we talked about. I hope you guys find this informative and also enjoyed it a bit. Moving on, coming up next, the next week, we will be having a session on mental health as a social justice issue. The topic sounds interesting, I guess, and it will be interesting. I hope you guys tune in and please stay. And we have a video after this, a short video of 2 minutes, and it will be about the work that we do as an organization. So just bear with us. Uh, yeah, before that, we also, if you guys have any questions or anything that you would like to ask, you can comment on the link on the comment box, and you can put up the questions, and we are just about to answer and address them if you have any. uh, we have one question about OCD. Can we have that question?
Yeah. Yeah. It's by
Can you see it? I
no,
can't see.
it's I cannot see who it is by, but I can read the question.
Okay,
This
yeah.
person is
What do you
sorry
think
that
of
we cannot see the name.
yeah.
um, so
What do you think of
yes,
OCD? OCD is in. You like to take this up, Shivani?
yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
so OCD is stands for obsessive compulsive disorder. So it is a disorder where it makes the person feel the need for repetition. So, for example, some person might be extremely organized, and for them, that kind of an organized setup is very important. And if something goes wrong, if some object is misplaced here and there, then it affects them in such a way that they start experiencing other mental health issues because of that. So they might start feeling anxious. They'll get irritable. They will snap at people. Ki, ये कहाँ गया, वो कहाँ गया. So it, and unless that problem is resolved, unless they get that object back in place, they will not be at peace. So this is just a very small example. Uh,
Yeah, I
Another
think the
example.
basic thing about this disorder is that the autonomy of your own thoughts and the control and self authorship of your self gets hampered in a sense that you have this compulsion, you have this constant thought that you can't control, that you can't have control over. And it's not funny, it's not okay, it's not romantic, it's not something to be obsessed over. It's pretty much complicates their life to an extent that it's hamper them to hamper them in having relations and having even managing day-to-day tasks with task of everyday importance. It's because you constantly you and I have seen people tell to them, if you don't want to do this, just don't. Why can't you just stop it? That's the thing with OCD. You can't stop it. You have this compulsion, you have this obsession that you can't control, and the autonomy that we have, the agency that we have, gets hampered to the extent that even our perception of self get changed in the bit, because it's how we understand who we are. I know what I can do in the future. Therefore, I am calm in the present because I know I can plan my future. But the people with OCD don't know that what will happen in the future, and the this thing this thing hampers what they are at present, and that's something that is important to. Yeah, something Shivani was saying. I guess I hope I didn't cut you off.
No, no, no. You just continue what I was going to say, that it's not in their control, and the sense of not having that control over situations and the control over them, their own thoughts, or what might happen in the future, as you said, that itself upsets them so much that they obsess over it through no fault of their own or through no choice of their own. They don't choose to be that way. Somebody with OCD, it's not their choice to do something 10 times or 100 times. उसको शौक नहीं है वो चीज बार बार करने का. But unless they do it, they will not feel at. They will keep feeling restless, and that restlessness
Yeah,
will manifest itself in
obsessiveness.
different ways. Yes. So that is the issue with people who suffer from OCD. And as Sumati said, that there is nothing funny about it. You don't have to make fun of anybody with OCD. It's just that it hampers them on a very, very, very large extent.
Yeah, can we have the next question, please? Yeah, what is personality disorder? The questions that people are having are very, and how to help stubborn people who are not open up suffering from
From
an
anxiety.
anxiety. I
Okay.
don't understand this question.
I
Firstly,
think,
it is the personality wala. What is personality disorder? I guess there are various types of personality disorder, and I think if we go into the detail, I will be describing an entire chapter. But what is important here is to understand there is certain characteristic and there is certain aspects of your behavior as a trait that get hampered to this extent that if I give you example, the personality disorder, bipolar disorder, so antisocial personality disorder, or things like this. Uh, there was another disorder. I don't remember right now. Group C, 8 seconds. Yeah, paranoid, schizophrenia, typical personality disorder, narcissistic, antisocial, histrionic, borderline personality disorder, avoidant, dependent, obsessive, compulsive personality. Even OCD is also a personality disorder. Uh,
yes.
yeah,
So
so
is
that's pretty much it. And
multiple
there are
personality.
different classes of disorder. And if we go into the details, I think we will have to have another session for it, because these are the details that are very much vast. And if we say something, even on the surface level, think it won't be the justice with the topic and with the severity with which these need to be handled. So I think it's better if we take up this in entire separate session.
Yes, in fact, we can have a session for each of the different personality disorders because they're that detailed. But to give a gist of it,
Yeah.
we have researchers have studied human behavior for over a very long amount of time, and we have certain baselines. So what happens is that when there is some deviation from that baseline, which may define some kind of behavior which we consider as standard. So when there is a small deviation from that baseline, then we categorize it as a disorder. So that's how these different personality disorders were categorized that Sumati mentioned. So definitely we can take up a different session for that.
If any person suffering from a mental health issue, if he or she is too stubborn, don't want to accept how to help them, I will always suggest, instead of giving personal advice to the individual, please seek professional help. Please go to therapists and please go to professional individuals who know how to handle the situation and who understand the sensitivity and severity of it. Please don't self diagnose and label people. I can understand the difficulty of
Frustration,
living, yeah, living with the people with mental issues or illnesses, but it's important, if you really want to help them access these services or help them reach out for help, because I can't stress this enough, the importance of reaching for professional help. Yeah.
yes, right. That's absolutely right. And also, I would like to add that uh, that person may not be stubborn. It's just that it's difficult for them to open up. As this person had asked this previous question, that they were being too stubborn to open up about their anxiety. So you cannot force somebody to share something or to open up about something that you think they are going through. I mean, I don't want to sound
Yeah.
rude or anything, but this is your perspective of what they are experiencing. But what they might be going through might be completely different. So instead of thinking that they're stubborn, you can, you need to act with patience. You need to, don't just nag them. Ki, Arey batana mujhe kya hua, kya hua, kya hua. Don't nag them. Show some gestures that make them confide in you. Show some, uh, maybe if you just show some sympathy, they might open up on their own. अपने will से. So don't think that they're being stubborn. They might just be going through something completely different from what you think they're going through. So yeah, the solution to is to seek professional help.
Yeah. Then we have other question. How to have mental strength against external factors, things which are not in our hand. How to embrace unexpected scenario. It's a pretty much important question, and what we are and how we experience are the like manifestation of several aspects of who we are. There is an aspect of our own cognitive functions, but that functions don't exist in a vacuum, as to say that it's outside of environment. Your environment pretty much affects your what goes on here and how it functions, and even the generations of the genes that have been passed down through. And what is important here is that even trauma is also something that gets passed on, and which we term as intergenerational trauma. So if a person has experienced a trauma in a lifetime, there is a tendency that it will get passed on to the even to the next generation. And and the families that constitute pretty much, this is a problem that is so severe, and we will find in every other households and the dysfunctional families that we are living with. So it's like the question that mentions, we are taking up this question in the next session, and It's the that session is entirely upon the external factors and external circumstances. Even though there are things that aren't in our hands, there is immense scope with the things that are in our control, and the things that aren't in our hands are pretty much the social issue, political issue, the economic issue, or the gendered issue, what the LGBT, what the pressures and the conformity binaries that pretty much LGBT community deals with, or LGBT people deal with. So these are the things that we'll be addressing in the next session. And we have this entire session for addressing the social aspects and the environmental aspect of mental health, and how it these things affect who we are and how we function day to day. So yeah,
Yeah, also I would,
if you feel that there are things that you can't control, and there are the external pressures that are getting too much, I will again advise go for professional help, ask therapy, because it's something that you can rely. You can't control the stresses, you can't control the environment around you, but having a support system, having a safety net helps deal with those pressure. So in that case scenario, what I would what we can rely on is having that support system. What is this support system? People that I care about, things where I feel safe, things that I feel safe enough to talk about, or even the therapist is a support system that can be provided through professional help. So if you feel the stresses are too much, seek therapy, seek professional help. Yeah, Shivani, you were saying something.
yeah, also I would like to address one more aspect of that question. Any anything that any sudden event, right? So we have this built-in defense mechanism called the fight or flight response. So generally, when we experience something that is not that is completely sudden and it comes out of nowhere, out of the blue. So generally, what the initial reaction to is panic, heavy breathing, and such things. So it's not that you don't have it in you to solve the problem. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है. I'm pretty sure that you might have all of us have gone through a lot of situations throughout our lives as far and uh, it's we can solve problems. It's just that when we face something that we never expected, we start getting panicky. So the first thing that you need to do that don't escape from it. Try breathing and uh, try to calm yourself down. Now this sound I know this sounds very vague. How do you calm yourself down when you're experiencing something that you never expected?
Grounding techniques.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we have these grounding techniques, and one of the very basic one is to um, uh, help yourself realize your surrounding and your reality. So take deep breaths and focus on any 3 to 4 things that you see around you, like recognize them. Like maybe you might be seeing a window or a door or a curtain or a table. So tell yourself that, okay, these are the things I'm seeing. This is the situation. So that will help you realize that the intensity of the situation that you're in, the realistic factors that govern that situation. So once by this point, you will be in a state that will be sufficient to enable you to handle whatever it is that you're facing. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to add to that. So train yourself with such grounding techniques that improve your fight or flight response. So we have one more question.
Mental health refers to cognitive, behavior, and emotional changes and anxiety, schizophrenia, but what leads to such situation, how to overcome. Mental health doesn't refer to an anxiety, schizophrenia. Mental health simply means the well-being of mind, uh, and its cognitive aspect or behavioral aspect, or the
Emotional
emotional one.
aspect.
Yeah, yeah, these are the aspects that are aspects of our mind but mental health largely focuses on the well-being of our mind. So the anxiety or schizophrenia, these are the illnesses, and how it we can take up this in a separate session where where we talk about how to deal with anxiety in particular, or we can discuss about schizophrenia. And I will highly recommend that please don't take from us how to deal with schizophrenia. We are not trained professionals, and we are not professionals who can give you professional advice or give you particular tailored response to your individual issues. So it's pretty much very irresponsible on our part if we go ahead and do that. So I will always suggest that if you feel a particular discomfort, or you feel like you having these issues that may align with some disorder, go and seek professional help. Go and ask for help. And there are, if even if you don't understand how to go, just go a quick Google search. You will surely find a, and we can also give out a list of the trusted professionals in the field that you can also contact on. We can put this out on Empower People website as well. So if you want tailored responses or solutions to your individual questions, individual problems that you're facing, it's always advisable to seek professional help. And these are the illnesses that pretty much covers
Great.
it. Okay.
I have one more
People have
question.
faced, yeah, Shivani.
Yeah, people have faced salary cuts and many have lost their incomes, thus making them more vulnerable to mental depression. What can be done for them apart from financial help? So, again, as we mentioned earlier, that uh, we all have our safety nets, and these safety nets are really important. And it is understandable that financial problems can cause other problems because you might have an entire family depending on your income. And in such a situation, if you're having salary cuts and losing a job, then it is a big deal. So it is very important to understand that even for the family members to understand that in such a grave time, it is important to support that other person who has faced a salary cut or a job loss, who has been laid down. So it is important to understand that you need to be supportive. Don't just hold them responsible for everything. And also, for those who are going through this, it is again, it's very important to know your safety nets, to have certain people who you can discuss this with. So basically, it all comes down to expressing yourself and to be communicative about what it is that you're going through. Because if you keep bottling it up, so eventually वो जैसा ज्वालामुखी ऐसा फटता है, ऐसा आप भी फट जाओगे एक दिन. So don't bottle it up inside, and just make sure that you just keep communicating about whatever it is that you're feeling, and be expressive. So yeah, I mean, apart from financial help, this is the best thing that you can do for such people. Sumati, would you like to add anything to this?
No, no, pretty much it. Uh, can we
Okay,
have
I guess
if, this is it?
have we done? Okay, I guess we don't have any more questions. So I think it's
So
safe to say that we can conclude now.
yeah. So in the next session, we will be taking up mental health as a social justice issue. What we will be addressing there is from the aspect of mental health existing in the realm of a particular special social position, and how these environments around us affect the mental health. So this it will be interesting one. I hope you guys appreciated this session, and we will be meeting you all in the next week with that session. And this is it. Uh, I really appreciate that you guys posted your doubts and questions. And if you have further doubts, always you can always reach out. There are and we will be also sharing the links for that. Uh, you can always reach out the spaces, and there are also helplines which provide you even the guidance or assistance to where to reach, how to reach, what to do and what not to do. So
Yeah.
we can be sharing links for that. And also one important thing, there is a website called Blue Dawn, and it's pretty much the job these guys are doing. It's pretty much amazing. It's for the Bahujan communities, people from the marginalized communities, and it's a website that provides free counseling. Blue Dawn. It's Blue Dawn. BLUE DAWN, and it helps the people from the Bahujan community to access the mental health services in an affordable and accessible price. And ally, if you feel for the cause and you come from a privileged background, you can sponsor a therapist for a Bahujan person, and it can literally save lives. So please go ahead and visit this website. And if you need help, you can seek out. And if you want to donate and help the Bahujan community, you can donate there and you can sponsor them a therapist. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we'll also be when the offline version of this session is posted on the page of Empower People, we'll also make sure that we mention all these links and the different toll-free numbers that you can avail and use to get any instant help and easily accessible help for in case you're going through anything. And for anybody who's watching this offline, you can also post your questions in the comments and we'll try to address them there. So that's it for today. Thank you everybody for joining and tuning in.
and bearing us. Thank you so much. So
Almost all of us want to do something for the larger society and try to give back to our people. But we all have limitations. We see and feel for people in difficult circumstances, and we also know that the lives of people living in extreme poverty and in difficult conditions are inevitably bound with our own lives and identities. Let's come together, speak your mind, share your ideas, and together we can work to improve the lives of people in need. Join us for online meetings. Let's discuss and plan the way forward. As shall you use your expertise, so shall others, and together we can truly make a difference. Our target is to rescue women in slavery. Women who are bought and sold like products in the market for the purpose of marriage. Women who are then mistreated and abandoned to their own devices due to lack of support from the family, the community, and society at large. They constitute a new generation of the oppressed. A denial of their basic human rights is the biggest threat to our development and sustainability as a species. As a first step, simply come and register at our website www.empowerpeople.in. Our team will get in touch with you. We look forward to seeing you join hands, hearts and minds with us. Add in your bit to keep the flame of compassion, service and humanity alive.